should have invented an egg-moving robot. Stupid Maxis. This is rules. Stupid Axman!
Insta-kill!
Login. Eddie. Password? I'm not, but that's why no one will guess it.
Kaboom. Max ammo!
Narrative. Some details may not be entirely supported by all the evidence within Dark Souls, but is certainly supported by at least some evidence and fan theories. Let's begin. Giant gray immortal dragons rule over everything. The metaphysical rules of the universe require all living things to run on souls. The more souls a being has, the stronger their life force. Upon losing all souls, the being goes hollow, violently insane, and zombie-like. Somewhere in the world, a mysterious power known as the First Flame appears. Other beings are drawn to it. Three beings, Nito, Gwyn, and the Witch of Izalith, find special power sources within the flame. A fourth being, the Furtive Pygmy, finds the Dark Soul, but remains in secret. Seath, a scaleless mortal dragon, tells Gwyn to use lightning to kill the other dragons. Gwyn and the gang gather an army, shoot lightning at the dragons, and kill them. This brings forth a new age, the Age of Fire, with Gwyn at the forefront, using the First Flame as their source of power. The Furtive Pygmy uses the Dark Soul to farther humanity, and he is buried, the Age of Dark. Years go by. The Furtive Pygmy is revived by a small township as Manus, a huge beast corrupted by the essence of humanity. He corrupts one of Gwyn's knights, but is defeated by another warrior. The First Flame fades, and Gwyn's kingdom weakens. After numerous failed attempts to save the Age of Fire, Gwyn sacrifices himself to rekindle the First Flame. He becomes a Lord of Cinder, one who is powerful enough to survive a rekindling, though drastically damaged from the process. This extends extension brings the curse of the undead, an ailment that causes humans to wither away physically and mentally. They can only be killed if their sanity leaves them completely. A descendant of the furtive pygmy, the chosen undead, kills off the major remaining members of the Age of Fire. The first flame is rekindled. Fate states that the Age of Light and Dark will continue. The flame will fade, reignite, and a new Age of Fire will begin. If a being survives the rekindling process, he is tasked with protecting the first flame. Many cycles go by until a great man named Vendrick builds a kingdom, and that's cool, but he fails to reignite the first flame. Nasandra, a disguised remnant of Manus, marries Vendrick and tricks him to provoke a race of giants so she can overthrow him, gain access to the first flame, and become the Lord of Hollows. Vendrick bars her from gaining access to the first flame and goes hollow and forgotten, leaving Nasandra in a stalemate. The flame starts to fade once more, bringing the undead curse again. Another chosen undead is manipulated by Nasandra to open the path to the first flame. Upon revealing herself, she is killed by the chosen undead, and the cycle of light and dark continues. Cycles later, Lothric, a prince, fails to light the first flame. The first flame threatens to go out forever. This signals the Lords of Cinder to return, tasked to assist in the rekindling of the first flame. An unkindled, a being that did not survive the rekindling process, comes into being and kills all the Lords of Cinder, becoming strong enough to rekindle the first flame. And that's Dark Souls in 3. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a big like. If you want to see more content, please subscribe. This is the story of Just Cause in 3 minutes. Let's begin. The Republic of Medici, ruled by the evil dictator General Di Ravello. Ravello concocts numerous plots for world domination, keeping his eye on a rare mineral called Bovarium that is found in high quantities in Medici. In order to keep his empire from collapsing, Ravello orders his military to engage in a massacre that wipes out thousands of Medici citizens. Among them, the parents of race car driver Rico Rodriguez. Rico attempts to flee Medici and is met by Tom Sheldon, an agent for the secret American organization known as the Agency. Sheldon trains Rico until he becomes a top agent for the CIA, and, having proved himself there, is transferred to be an agent for the Agency. He is sent on missions all over the world for the sake of American diplomacy, and to topple governments and dictatorships that prove to be a threat to the United States' interests. His first notable mission sends him to San Espirito, where he is tasked with hunting down a dictator named Salvador Mendoza, and stopping him from igniting weapons of mass destruction. Rico infiltrates the island and allies himself with the local rebel factions. Together, they systematically destroy Mendoza's multitude of bases for his operations, before finally tracking down the dictator and assassinating him. Satisfied with a job well done, Rico retires from the Agency, as if this wasn't going to be an ongoing franchise. A few years later, Sheldon deviates from Agency protocol and begins his own investigation on the island of Panau, where the new dictator Pandak Panay has removed the country from all United States engagement. The Agency claims Sheldon is a rogue agent, and Rico is called back in to find Sheldon and get answers. Rico finds Sheldon, and together they unmask a conspiracy that involves the sale of a massive oil supply to Russia, China, and Japan. Rico infiltrates the gangs each superpower is funding to find more information. Finally, he discovers Panay's hiding place. Rico and Sheldon realize that the superpowers also wanted Panay out of power, and a war would then be fought over the remaining oil. Terrified of his own assassination, Panay fires nuclear missiles at China, Japan, the US, and Russia. Rico stops the missiles and redirects them at Panay's own oil rig, destroying it and stopping the superpowers from invading the island. Rico retires from the Agency once again. He returns to Medici and decides to take down Di Ravello as a rogue mercenary. He teams up with Sheldon, who informs Rico about Di Ravello's obsession with Bavarium, and the two set off to kill some more people. Rico teams up with Mario, head of the local rebellion and plumber union, and helps them fight off Di Ravello's forces. Rico heads from town to town, rescuing civilians from Di Ravello's attacks and becoming a local hero. Di Ravello attempts to stop Rico by firing a nuke at a nearby town to distract him, but Rico reprograms the missile to hit one of Ravello's own bases. Rico discovers that Di Ravello and the Agency had made a deal 20 years earlier to form an alliance, but Sheldon denies that the Agency would ever support Di Ravello's actions. Rico continues to attack the dictator's forces with the help of the rebellious army, and finally kills Di Ravello on the edge of a volcano. Rico then considers his own mission complete, and finally settles down at a local beach, likely until Just Cause 4, where he'll be tasked to stop another nuclear attack from another dictator on another island, maybe Tropico. And that's Just Cause in 3. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a big fat like down below. If you This is the story of Uncharted in 3 minutes. Let's begin. 1000 BC, King Solomon utilizes the biological weapon known as the Ubar hallucinogen against his enemies. After experiencing its mind-altering powers for himself, he deems the weapon inhumane and bans it inside of the Vessel of Brass. The vessel is dropped into a cistern in the city of Ubar, where it is forgotten, until its contents leak into the water supply and drive the citizens of Ubar mad. 700 AD, Spanish bishops load Spain's great treasures on 7 ships and sail away to prevent them from being captured by rising enemy forces. 1177 AD, Spanish conquistadors discover the fabled treasure of El Dorado in the jungles of the Amazon and transport it to an uncharted island. The treasure mutates them into zombie-like monsters called Descendants. 1271 AD, explorer Marco Polo discovers the lost city of Shomhala and finds the mystical Sintamani stone, a relic that grants invincibility. Ooh. Polo travels to China and is gifted treasures, including mystical resin from the Sintamani stone, 14 ships, and 600 passengers. While traveling to Venice, Italy, the mystical resin causes insanity and mutiny among the crew. Polo arrives in Venice with only 1 ship and 18 passengers. He hides the remainder of the resin in a lamp. 1577 AD, Queen Elizabeth of England enlists the traveling prowess of Sir Francis Drake to travel to Ubar and discover its secret powers. She orders Francis's ring to be modified to act as a code wheel key. Francis discovers Ubar, learns of the horrors of the Ubar hallucinogen, and decides not to tell the Queen what he found. Ubar is mostly forgotten as Francis turns his attention to the treasure of El Dorado. He sets off to steal it for the English. He finds out the statue at the center of that treasure is cursed and fakes his own death to keep the statue on Spanish shores. He continues his pursuit of knowledge about the treasure until he is killed by the mutated descendants on the island. The relics go undiscovered for years until the birth of Sir Francis Drake's descendant. Well, actually, it might not be his descendant. Nathan Drake. At the age of 15, he steals Sir Francis Drake's famous ring from a museum in Colombia and is taken under the wing of treasure hunter Victor Sullivan. Drake learns of the Spanish ships that mysteriously disappeared with Spain's treasure and sets out to find them, but he discovers the gold is irradiated and abandons it. Drake exhumes Francis Drake's coffin with his friend Elena and discovers Francis faked his own death. He learns from Francis's diary about El Dorado and sets off to find it. Upon its discovery, Drake and Elena fight off the mercenaries, warlords, and the zombie-like descendants before learning of the statue's curse and leaving the island with other treasures. Drake is hired to steal Marco Polo's lamp from a museum that sets him on a new mission to the Sintamani stone in Shomhala. He fights off mercenaries and warlords again and stops the stone from falling into the wrong hands. He then blows up the ancient city. He later marries Helena, but the relationship soon strains and they part ways. 2 years later, a woman named Catherine Marlowe steals Drake's ring and sets off the events that lead to Drake in the ancient city of Ubar. They find Marlowe but fail to secure his ring as the city topples down around him. Nate returns home and reignites his marriage with Elena. And that's Uncharted in 3 minutes. I'd like to thank you guys for watching on the way. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe, comment, and like it down below. I got a bit of a question for you, although it's a little bit unrelated. What's your favorite ancient holy relic? Like Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark or the Holy Grail? I think personally my fabled Lost Ark